What's up, traders? Andrew O'Connell here with Pristine Capital. Welcome to your market recap video. It's October 6th of 2022. Another wild day in the market. Let's dive in here. We have the S&P 500 finished the day down 1.03%. Our Nasdaq QQQ finished down 0.79%. Excuse me. Our IWM small caps, they were an outperformer versus the megas. They were only down 0.56%. Our dogs of the Dow were a big time laggard, down 1.18%. Our ARK Innovation ETF led the way. It actually finished positive, up 0.32%. We actually have a trade on in the ARK Innovation ETF right now. And then the TLT, Long-Term Treasury ETF, finished down 0.56%. We just added this to the list for today. Feel free, throw a comment on this video. First of all, like the video, comment down below if you think, we should keep the TLT on here, if it's not worth it, whatever. I just think the long bond has been pretty instrumental. Pretty much every day that the long-term treasuries are down, the equities finish down and vice versa. Pretty much everything closed on the low end of its day's range except for ARK, which closed right smack dab in the middle of it. We had an expansion in volatility heading into our jobs report tomorrow. We're going to take a look at the NFP preview and just get a feel for what's going on there. Volatility expansion, of course. Breadth was pretty weak. We had 24.7% of volume for today, and the trend model remains at a +1. We had a question earlier today within our trading community about, what are we going to do heading into the CPI report, how to position, whatever. To be perfectly honest, using the trend model has really helped me. And pretty much whenever I deviate from the trend model, I just start thinking about the market and kind of making a hypothesis. That's often where I go astray. So to be honest, I really think, for my process, going by, is it a green light, is it a red light, and from there, adding or reducing exposure really helps. And it really simplifies things, because then you don't need to be worried about where's my PhD in economics? I need to interpret, basically 1,000 data points, throw those data points all into my head, and have my brain just naturally tell me whether to be long or short. It's very tough to do. So right now we're at a +1. Could that change tomorrow? Yeah. So let's talk about that. Today we did have some economic data. We had the initial jobless claims. And remember, see across the news wire, Disney, DraftKings, ESPN partnership announced. I'm going to post that in our trading room over here. Interesting. I don't know if that'll move it. Yeah, let's take a look and see what that does in just a moment. But anyway, initial jobless claims, these came in a little bit higher than the consensus estimate. We've been in this market environment where bad news is good news and vice versa, right? So I actually thought that would be a positive contributor for equities, but we did just have a strong dollar environment today. Energy was up as well, and that really weighed on equities throughout the session. Now, tomorrow is the real deal. Tomorrow we have the non-farm payrolls data. This comes out once a month. It's always on the first Friday of the month. And the entire market is watching for this video. When I used to work on the fixed income trading desk at Vanguard, every single month we were looking for this data point. People would bet on what it was going to be. And it's not like anyone has any idea what it's going to come out to, but everyone reacts to the data point. So for tomorrow, we are expecting 250,000 jobs created for the month of September. And you can see, there's average hourly earnings. And remember, for the Federal Reserve, the big problem is oh man, these plebs, they're getting raises. This is not good. It's leading to inflation. So I would imagine this is going to be another very similar situation where bad news is good news and good news is bad news. If this comes in oh my gosh, the U.S. economy created 400,000 jobs this month. Intuitively, you might think that's a great thing. The economy's getting better. But in this inflationary environment, the Fed actually wants to see the economy slowing down. That's going to be out tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. I do imagine this is going to be market moving. So definitely keep a watchful eye out for that. It's definitely going to move the futures. And here's our VIX futures term structure. It went back into an inverted status today. So today we did have some volatility. We'll go over to the S&P 500 chart. But this pretty much means that we could still be in the heart of this volatility event And we are not out of the woods. It does seem like everyone is kind of positioned for that NFP data tomorrow. So it's going to be, all come down to that 8:30 print. Finviz heat map, you can see pretty much everything pulled back except for energy. That's really not what we want to see, right? So yeah, just right across the screen, utilities really got hit, real estate as well. And this again, just want to point this out. This is our CTA positioning estimates via Nomura. And just keep in mind that 38.19 level, it happens to coincide right around the 20-day simple moving average for S&P 500. That is where if we approach that level, or we hit that level, and trade through it, the CTAs, which are trend following strategies, they will be forced to buy the S&P 500, essentially buy stocks. Now, sectors. We had a huge move today in the MSOS Advisor Shares Pure US Cannabis ETF, up 34% on 11.7 relative volume. And then you can see this YOLO Cannabis ETF. This includes United States and Canadian cannabis names. This was up 26%. I focus on the MSOS. Those Canadian cannabis names, they're pretty much garbage. So that was big. We did get a headline today that President Biden, he's going to be pardoning people that were in prison for marijuana related crimes. And not to be political or anything, this is just stating facts. When they ran, one of the things on their platform was cannabis legalization. And then since they got elected, they've done nothing to advance that forward. And I'm definitely one of those people that wants to see cannabis legalized. I'm a long-term holder in this cannabis company. It's called GTBIF. I have a large position in it that's really outside the trading service or anything like that. I just hold on to it. I'm a big-time hodler in it. So yeah, we'll take a look at that one. That one had a pretty big move today. Other than that, what do we have here? Energy was up 1.78%. That was our other big performer. Gold miners were up as well. And a lot of other areas of the market were just pulling back. Style factors. Let's see. Best performing style factor. This is interesting. High beta was only down 0.4%. So that is a bit of a positive divergence, right? I mean, we saw the ARK Innovation ETF close green. Cannabis stocks, which are very risk on, those closed green. We're seeing high beta stocks that were only down 0.4%. Not too bad. Relative outperformer. So there's a lot of mixed signals here in this tape. In terms of trades, didn't trade anything today. There was honestly I didn't really think there was anything to do. It's just kind of the day before the NFP numbers. I know how important those are going to be. So it's what's there really for me to do? Let's take a look over here, and we will go to the S&P 500. Let's actually take a look before we do that. There was the news for DraftKings. Let's just see what DraftKings is doing. And you can see on that news of a Disney, ESPN, DraftKings partnership. DraftKings is gapping up in the after hours. You can see we hit this Venom R2 level. And yeah, maybe that could be a mover for the stock. I do believe there's some high short interest in DraftKings. So that is pretty interesting. What else do we have here? Twitter. Judge says Musk must close the deal by 5 p.m. on October 28th. We had our merger arbitrage trade in this. We already closed out our position. I believe it was yesterday, or it might have been the day on this green candle. But yeah, we're already out of this Twitter trade. Yeah, you can see it's starting to come down a little bit lower. I see people starting to talk about taking a position in Twitter. And it's now the risk reward is just so bad. I mean, the probability of the deal going through is very high, to be honest. But the risk that you take on if it doesn't go through now, it's you've got about $5 of upside. And then if the deal doesn't go through, you've got, I don't even know. Yeah, you've got $20+ of downside. So even if you think it's high probability, which honestly now it's almost like a certainty, it's still a huge gamble, to be honest. So I think looking at that trade now, it's the real opportunity was all in in here, and all in here the past couple of months it was available. That's when we were positioning it. But anyway, what else do we have here? AHR reported earnings after the bell. And this one's having a pretty good move. So you can see trading up to about like 15, 34 bucks. Not bad. But let's take a look at these indices and just see where they are for the moment. And then we'll take a look at the dollar as well. So let's see S&P 500. This is do or die time, team. So remember, trend model's at +1. And we have this monthly value area low at 3747.25. So ideally, we'd like to see that hold. So yeah, it's kind of do or die. We're pulling back into support. And based off this NFP data tomorrow, that could determine if we are going to retest this 20-day simple moving average. And again, remember, that's where the CTAs would have to engage, or if we might cascade into the abyss. We don't know the answer to that question yet. I'm positioned to the long side, so I'm hoping things go well and we start zooming above this 20-day simple moving average. There's no guarantees, right? Hourly chart. We had a nice advance. We ripped through this weekly value area. And perhaps we retest this top of value if things move to the downside. We'll have to see. Have to keep an open mind to that. What else do we got here? Our NASDAQ. NASDAQ also pulled back, but it did not even reach this bottom of the monthly value area. So a little bit stronger. Russell 2000. Yeah, this one looks even better. Did not pull back all the way to the monthly value area low. Our dogs of the Dow just looked like trash today. And you can see these actually trading below the monthly value area. And the ARK Innovation ETF finished out positive. We traded above that 20-day simple moving average. Couldn't close above it. But look at this. We got 3 green candles in a row. Could be a lot worse. Now let's look at the VIX. So the VIX is above a 30. So we're still in that danger zone. So yeah, we'll have to see tomorrow how the market looks after NFP. But I think the real issue, and honestly, I'm shocked the market did as well as it did, because look at this. The dollar index zoomed higher today, up 1.05%. That's exactly what we don't want to see, right? So happy path is maybe the dollar just kind of like goes sideways. That would be all right. Or perhaps we pull back. Really what we don't want to see is the dollar retests the high, starts making new highs. Like, that's just no bueno. And then the other potential risk factor that we're looking at is crude oil prices. Crude oil is moving through the monthly value where we're already testing the top. We're above the 50-day simple moving average. Crude oil is well off the highs, which is good, but it's not going to help the inflation picture if crude oil is just, ripping out, taking out resistance levels, like zooming back to the highs. We certainly don't want that. But yeah, just a nice snapback rally for crude. And then take a look, our VVIX, what is that doing? Yeah, it's at 5.32%, but it's still well off the highs, which is good. Yeah, so I think for tomorrow, there were some names that were starting to work, like Wolf, which we are currently long. But this one rejected. The market got weak. So I think the market's sitting in an interesting spot where if things go well into tomorrow, names like Wolf, we could find them breaking out, and the breakout's actually sticking. Things of that nature. Whereas if things don't go so well, we have the VIX, which is like fully wound up. We've got the S&P 500 testing support. We've got energy kind of doing its thing. So I think it's honestly all eyes on the NFP data at 8:30 tomorrow. With that said, best of luck out there, everyone. We will see you all next time.